So we were on this line, chapter 2, thoughts and circumstances. Indigence and indulgence are the two extremes of wretchedness. They are both equally unnatural and the result of mental disorder. A man is not rightly conditioned until he is happy, healthy, and prosperous being. And happiness, health, and prosperity are the result of a harmonious adjustment of the inner while the outer of the man with his surroundings. So when we are talking about a state of being, totally gone, totally rest, so the two extremes are either kuch bhi nahi hai hamare pas, or we are into some kind of a indulgence or an abuse. So they are the extremes of that state of wretchedness where, it's basically a person who is not mentally fit. Rest, everything is between. So your anxiety, depression, panic attacks, they are all in the middle, okay, in that pendulum. The swinging between these two things. But जो अगर हम बात करें कि when we are talking about we as humans desiring happiness, health and prosperity, ये तीन basic चीजें हैं जो every, these are the three basic requirements of every human being. He wants to be happy, he wants to be healthy, and he wants to be prosperous. Rest, everything, मेरे को बड़ा घर चाहिए, गाड़ी चाहिए, job चाहिए, whatever. They're part and parcel of, these three broadheads. So ये तीन broadheads हमें कैसे मिलेंगे? These three broadheads are only possible when there is a harmonious adjustment of the inner self. He very clearly says harmonious adjustment of the inner. So पहले अंदर काम करना पड़ेगा तभी आपका outer जो है, your surroundings, your relationships, everything will start showing the reflection of the changes that you do on the inside. अब as a human being हमारे अंदर है क्या? We have this body which has all the various body parts, and this entire body works in synchronicity with the signals from the mind or the brain. Let's talk about the brain as of now. तो ब्रेन सिग्नल देता है. ब्रेन को कहाँ से सिग्नल्स मिलते हैं? थ्रू द 5 सेंसेस. सो व्हाटएवर वी सी, व्हाटएवर वी हियर, व्हाटएवर वी स्मेल, व्हाटएवर वी टेस्ट एंड व्हाटएवर वी टच, they are the 5 preliminary senses, all the sense organs, sensory perceptions, where the entire signaling happens inside the mind. So the input of the mind or the brain happens through all the 5 senses. वहीं पे आपके सारे इमोशंस की भी डिकोडिंग मेमोरी पैटर्न्स बने हुए हैं. हाउ दिस वर्क्स, सपोज you do one thing and the result is something which is not the way it should be as per you. So expectations not met. Memory बन गई brain के अंदर कि if this happens, dissatisfaction. So whenever that kind of an event or a similar event comes, there will be a memory retrieval from the brain which will get to a state of dissatisfaction or dissatisfied inside of us. But जब हमने अपनी memory या अपने thought के साथ काम किया, what did we do? We did some harmonious adjustments. So when we start working with our thought and we start working with what is inside, that is the thoughts and the 5 senses, हम उस memory की decoding में हल्का सा alterations कर रहे हैं, So that whatever now comes, even if it is a similar circumstance, the mind now has an option to see if it can be possible that it is this. वो ऑप्शन आएगा. अगर वो ऑप्शन आया और आपने उसको वैलिडेट किया, वहां पे वो मेमोरी का एक फर्स्ट न्यूरोलॉजिकल पाथवे बनेगा. And the more we validate that point, the more the neurological pathway, which is the wiring of the brain, the memory recall of the brain, will become stronger. Because आज जो हम हैं, जो हमारे mental conditioning बनी हुई है, belief system बने हुए हैं, these are nothing but neurological pathways which have been created since the time we were born, or over the period of time with our experiences, we have revalidated all these neurological pathways or these beliefs and made them what they are today. So who I am today right now is nothing but a set of beliefs, a set of neurological pathways which have been endorsed by me during my upbringing up till date. But ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने या किसी ने भी लाइफ में बिलीव्स चेंज ना किए हो. So there are times where a certain belief has not worked for you. You have thought and you have looked and sought out a change in that particular belief and worked on it and actually created a new neurological pathway, a new memory recall, and then gave that new neurological pathway and that new memory recall more power and strengthened that neurological pathway so that वो आपकी memory recall में और strong हो गया. So this is how it is entirely going to work. So this is the science and the logic behind when we do that harmonious adjustment in the mind, which is nothing but a change in the brain wiring or the neurological pathway change. तो हम वहां पे एडजस्टमेंट ये कर रहे हैं कि अब अगर ये चीज ट्रिगर हो तो इसको हमें इस एंगल की बजाय इस एंगल से देखना है. एंड जहां हम उस पे स्ट्रांगली काम करेंगे, लाइक व्हेन वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट बिफोर द क्लास, फेक इट टिल यू मेक इट. सो द मोर यू स्टार्ट गिविंग दैट थॉट or that word or that line energy, attention, that yes, I'm good, yes, I'm good, yes, I'm good, you are actually making an attempt to strengthen that neurological pathway. So हमें mind में जब हमने when we are in a state of that extreme downtrodden or whatever your state is, or you're in between the extremes, all you need to do is start making those harmonious adjustments in terms of your neurological patterns of beliefs and start altering them one by one. Don't take everything at one time. Mind confused हो जाएगा, आप confused हो जाओगे, थक जाओगे, एक memory pattern बन जाएगा, this does not work. चल, कहानी खत्म. So take one by one. Take any, whatever you feel right, start working with that one thought which is bothering you right now, or that one judgment which is bothering you right now, or one situation or event or circumstance which is bothering you, and start working with that thought कि मैं इसको change कैसे कर सकता हूँ, and start planting new seeds of the revised version of what is it that you want to desire in that particular front we are talking. बिकॉज जब तक हम वो छोटे छोटे चेंजेस, हार्मोनियस एडजस्टमेंट्स ब्रेन की न्यूरोलॉजिकल पाथवे रिवायरिंग में और ब्रेन की मेमोरी रिकॉल में नहीं करेंगे, वो वैसे ही करेगा. दैट इज व्हाई व्हेन वी वॉक आउट with that switchboard and people press that switchboard, it's a similar way when I press a switchboard at home where, you know, if this particular switch corresponds to the light or this particular switch corresponds to the fan, and when I switch it on, the light will go on, and when I switch on the fan one, the fan will go on, because that's the circuit programming that has been done. That's the wiring of that switchboard connected with the light and the fan. Similarly, that's the switchboard connected with our emotions and the triggers. जब तक हम उसकी वायरिंग में हार्मोनियस एडजस्टमेंट्स नहीं करेंगे, and how do we do those harmonious adjustments? Is by planting new thoughts of seed, where we manifest and we plant those seeds as to what exactly is that we are desiring in our life. A man only begins to be a man when he ceases to whine and revile and commences to search for the hidden justice which regulates his life. And he adapts his mind to that regulating factor. He ceases to accuse others as the cause of his condition and builds himself up in strong and noble thoughts, ceases to kick against circumstances, but beings to use them as aids to his more rapid progress, and as a means of discovering the hidden powers and possibilities within himself. You know, there's a very famous quote by Rumi that yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. But today I am wise, so I am changing myself. And that rule applies then when he made it, and that rule applies to the current circumstances of everybody's life here on planet. Because जो आपके circumstances में है, that is just there. But उन circumstances को mind कैसे perceive कर रहा है, या how is that circumstance being decoded in your brain, that is deciding your entire agenda of, plan of action, what to do, what not to do, who's good, who's bad. The entire judgment, criticism, comparison, expectation, they all start with the perception of the mind. But जब हमें ये पता है कि we are our only responsibility, and that is a fact. I cannot work and change others. I do not have that power, do not have the capacity. यार मैं आज अपने आप को बदलने में मुझे इतना इशू आ रहा है, जस्ट इमेजिन अगर हम लोगों को बदलने में आ जाएंगे तो कितना इशू आएगा. But that is a nice convenience factor for all of us where we are in a situation, is to blame it on the outside. कि the other person, the situation, the event, ये सब external है, मैं तो बिल्कुल ठीक. And trust me, it's very rare to find a human being, I mean, you find, but yeah, rare, who say, yes, I made a mistake. I learned from it, and yes, I need to correct myself. Very rare. And especially when it's come to some psychological issues where, you have a relationship involved, or you have, a certain kind of a involvement with external people or your family members or your close friends and family, where if there is a situation or an event which is unpleasing, both parties, they will always justify that they are right. And they will always say what the other person did wrong. I have very rarely do I come across people who say, ki, हाँ, I think there was a mistake from my end, and probably I know where this is coming from, and I need to work on myself on that. Rare, quite rare. नहीं तो यार उसने ऐसे किया था, मैंने थोड़ा कुछ किया. The other person did that. I was absolutely right. मैं तो कुछ किया ही नहीं है. उसको ये समझ ही नहीं है, उसको ये नहीं पता, उसको ये नहीं पता. सारा टाइम हम कंपैरिजन कर रहे हैं किससे? टू द इमेज ऑफ व्हाट वी हैव of the other person in our mind. So that is an expectation of our mind that the other person should behave in a particular manner. और जब वो उस पर्टिकुलर मैनर में वो बंदा बिहेव नहीं करता है, so the expectation is not met because we are comparing to what we want the other person to do. And then what do? We start criticizing the other person and labeling and judging the other person. उसको तो आता ही नहीं है. Whereas what we need to see is what is inside of me, because मेरे जो बाहर है उसमें मेरा कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है और रह भी नहीं सकता है. You know, it's like the sunlight which is outside of you. Can you stop the sunlight from coming to your house? No. It will come when the sun is there. You know, when the sun is shining, the sunlight will come to everyone. But if I wear dark glasses, or if I put a black shield on my window, then that sun rays will not be able to penetrate inside of me or inside the house. So whatever is outside is there for all. आप रोक नहीं सकते हो, ना ही आप चेंज कर सकते हो. But what is there inside of you, how you want that to be registered in your mind. And that is where we actually need to work. And that is the whole concept about, you know, what we are doing in this book, because this is actually going to give you that progress of what you are looking for. Because जो बाहर है वो है, but how my mind is perceiving it, or how am I registering that whatever is outside of me, that is what is connected to me. बाकी दुनिया का मेरे को कोई लेना देना नहीं है. You know, very interesting thing, there was a concept. हमारे लाइफ में ना दो सर्कल्स होते हैं. So just imagine there is one big circle and there is one small circle. Okay, so this is your entire life. Your bigger circle is your circle of concern. Indian economy, cities, cleanliness, all those factors which are a concern to you. The dollar devaluing, the rupee depreciating, all the factors which are you're concerned about it. और एक छोटा सर्कल होता है जो आपके बड़ा क्लोज होता है, that is a circle of influence. कि मैं उसके लिए क्या कर सकता हूं. Whatever is outside is your circle of concern. Definitely there. We cannot deny that that circle of concern will not be there. But what is it that you can do to change it? That is your circle of influence, and that is you yourself. And the more you start working on that inner small circle of influence, that is you yourself, your circle of influence will continue to expand. Because there are a lot of people who are such good influencers that, you know, people will actually listen to them and change themselves. And I'm talking to all those religious sect gurus who are good, authentic, genuine, you know, in terms of upliftment of the mankind. So their circle of influence, by working on themselves, they have expanded that circle of influence. But अगर हम सर्कल ऑफ कंसर्न में ही भागते रहेंगे, उसने ऐसा है, उसने ऐसा, उसने ऐसा, उसने ऐसा, तो हम वो भागते रहेंगे. There is nothing concrete in the circle of concern. But what you can do and should do is just work on the circle of influence. And that's you yourself. Because that's where you can change things. And when you start working on yourself and becoming a better being, the others will change. The others will change because they will see you lead by example. That's how your circle of influence will grow. Because then they will be referring to you and, taking your examples and trying to work on themselves. So focus on the circle of influence. Focus on you yourself, because you yourself is the only responsibility you have. और जब आपने वो responsibility अच्छी तरह से कर ली है, whatever is outside of you, trust me, it will never affect you. Law, not confusion, is the dominating principle in the universe. Justice, not injustice, is the soul and substance of life. Righteousness, not corruption, is the molding and moving force in the spiritual government of the world. This being so, man has but to right himself to find that the universe is right. And during the process of putting himself right, he will find that as he alters his thoughts towards things and other people's, things and other people will alter towards him. So everything is being governed by the laws on planet Earth. So जो सच्चाई है वो laws में है. Law of gravity, law of cause and effect, law of karma. What you sow, you will reap that. So whatever are the laws, that is what is driving everything. Anything and everything other than the law is the every person's individual experience, every person's individual belief systems, which can be similar to the other person, but will never be the same. That's the uniqueness of being a human being. Everybody has different fingerprints. They never match. It's similar to our beliefs. You will have certain similarities, But if you say that my belief system or my conditioning is exactly the same as the other person, no. Not even real twins will have the same conditioning, the same programming. Not even the real twins. चाहे वो same ही environment में हो. Because the way you work and the way you work with your thoughts and the way you work towards how they are being registered and stored in your mind, that is actually what is driving. And that is the uniqueness of everybody. हमें लगता है कि अगला बंदा मेरा बात नहीं समझ रहा. Everybody has different points of view. Because everybody has different conditioning patterns. None of the conditioning patterns will be exactly the same. You will have similar conditioning patterns, but you will also have different conditioning patterns. That is why it is said it is different. That is when you're speaking from the point of view of law. It is a different point of view. Whether it is good or bad is your mind's judgment. That's not the law. So if the other person thinks in a different manner or thinks in terms of which is probably not the way you are thinking. It's a very clear state that it's a very clear state that his point of view is different than yours. That's the reality. But the mind's judgment of her point of view, his point of view, very bad, very pathetic. That's a judgment of the mind. That is not the reality. That is not the law. The law says people can be different, and they are, because the law says everybody has different fingerprints. Everybody will have different points of view. And what point of view does not match or does not come close to your point of view does not make it good or bad. It just makes it different. And that is the plain, simple reality of law. और हम उस जजमेंट को पकड़ के बैठ जाते हैं गुड और बैड की, and the entire conversation, the entire way of being, the entire relationship, the entire time only focused on the judgment. Whereas the reality was, it's a different point of view. And it does not match your point of view. That is why it is different, not good or bad. The proof of this truth is in every person, and it therefore admits of easy investigation by systematic introspection and self-analysis. Let a man radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will affect in the material conditions of his life. Men imagine that thought can be kept secret, but it cannot. It rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. So, सच्चाई ये है कि अगर हम उस पे वर्क नहीं करेंगे, अपने थॉट पे, अपने थॉट की पावर पे, तो हमें उसकी, we don't need to go and prove, because it will be proven in itself. Because with whatever you are thinking, you will start behaving like that. And whatever you are thinking, and once you start behaving like that, that will become your habit or your predominant characterization of your character. And that is how it's going to be that, you will be attracting all those circumstances which probably might be comfortable, might not be comfortable. But reality of existence or your circumstances are coming the way how you are thinking about yourself and how you're thinking about others. And that is the reality of life. But जब हम अपने आप में, by self-analysis, self-introspection, start analyzing the other person or start analyzing our own self, that where is it that, I need to work upon myself, and stop judging the other person. Because judgment is nothing but based on your set of rules, which the other person is not aware. So judgment ko to, the funny thing, we are judging every time. We're just walking, a person, walks past us wearing some funny clothes. What a funny character, judgment passed. If you analyze yourself, and if you are part of this in a journey of being consciously aware of yourself, you'll start to notice that you are judging yourself and others maximum number of times. सारा टाइम हम जज ही कर रहे होते हैं और कुछ नहीं कर रहे. Honestly speaking, that's the ideal human mind, how it works. बट जब हम उस जजमेंट से पास होके इस चीज की वैल्यू को रियलाइज करते हैं कि इस द वे वी आर थिंकिंग और द वे वी आर जजिंग, दैट इज एक्चुअली गोइंग टू बेस एंड मेक आवर ट्रू कैरेक्टर इनटू द वे वी आर, through a behavior, then to a habit, and then solidifying and actually showing up in your circumstances and your character of being. It actually starts from that thought, and it's evident with everybody's lives. You see anybody, whatever is their condition, if a person walks up to you and says that this is what is happening in my life, if you ask him to introspect, and he is from a frame of mind which is receptive frame of mind, where he wants to work on himself, he will realize what is it and where is it that I did wrong, or what is it or when it is and where is it that I need to improve. So admit kare nahi kare, that is separate. So with this entire thing of what we're doing in these book reading sessions is just to trigger the mind. Rest is your practice. What we can do or what we can create or what we intend to create is that we can create that spark where you get that initial spark ki, haan, there is a choice. I can make the alter choice. Whether I make that choice or I don't make that choice, absolutely personal choice. But that spark, because when you are listening to something and it is related to that, so the mind will register it at the back of a memory recall. Choice kya le rahe hain? Again, that depends on your individual journey of being consciously aware and how you want to make your choice. Absolutely individual choice. But yes, the spark of whether the other option is available or not, that definitely will ring. अब हम उस वॉइस को शांत कर दें थोड़ी देर बाद, again, personal choice. Bestial thoughts crystallize into habits of drunkenness and sensuality, which solidify into circumstances of destitution and disease. Impure thoughts of every kind crystallize into enervating and confusing habits, which solidify into distracting and adverse circumstances. Thoughts of fear, doubt, and indecision crystallize into weak, unmanly, and irresolute habits, which solidify into circumstances of failure, indigence, and slavish dependence. Lazy thoughts crystallize into weak habits of uncleanliness and dishonesty, which solidify into circumstances of foulness and beggary. Hateful and condemnatory thoughts crystallize into habits of accusation and violence, which solidify into circumstances of injury and persecution. Selfish thoughts of all kind crystallize into habits of self-seeking, which solidify into distressful circumstances. So जो भी मैं हूँ आज, वो मेरे थॉट्स, जो मैंने थॉट्स के सीड्स प्लांट किए हुए हैं right from the day I was born, right from the day my cognition developed, they're all a result of that. So if I'm having lazy thoughts, that means I will be least bothered in terms of cleaning my house or doing certain things, which will actually, it's like if you have a dirty house, there'll be a foul smell all throughout if you've not cleaned it. So what is that thought which is of laziness getting you into unclean house where there's foul smell and everything? See, in life, like attracts like. So if it is coming from a premise of negativity or coming from a premise of something which is not so pleasant, it will attract the same. Like will attract like. How is it that, you in college or in school or even in work, there'll be this one few set of people you will be very attracted to, and you'll get along very well because they will have more similar qualities than what you have. So that's the like inside me attracting the light inside the other person. And that's similar with whatever thoughts I have. So if I am having a thought of depression, life is not good enough, then a circumstance of probably taking an extreme measure of taking my own life can also, manifest into my reality. But if on the similar circumstance or an opposite circumstance, I start thinking on life is beautiful, I am thankful for the breath, I am thankful for the body, I'm thankful for so many things, my life is a blessing. What is that going to attract? A blissful life. Not necessarily I'm talking about material positions, but your state of mind or your state of self will be in that blissful, joyful state where everything will look nice to you. And whatever is it that is bothering you with your previous thoughts and with your revised changed thought pattern of everything is a blessing in life, those things, uski rewiring change हो चुकी होगी. अब वो ट्रिगर नहीं करेगी आप. So gratitude is one basic criteria which has such tremendous power, जिसमें अगर हम उस चीज पे सारी अपनी थॉट्स डालनी शुरू कर दें and start working with everything from the premise of being grateful, your entire life can take a 360-degree turn. Your entire life can take a 360. Because when you feel everything is a blessing, and every situation, no matter how challenging it is, it's there to teach you, and you're here to learn, and you're blessed that this lesson is coming your way. It's an entire gambit of perceptory glasses which you have never thought of. Just imagine, जब आपने कभी भी किसी सिचुएशन में immense gratitude express किया हो, what was your state of mind? You were fantastic. So that's the power of gratitude, for which you have adequate experiences in your memory bank. आपको कहीं बाहर से नहीं लेके आना वो experience अपने memory bank में डालने में. That experience of gratitude is already there in your memory bank. Let's do a small exercise.